We must stop the terror. Now watch this drive.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
One, two. Yo, check this out. Okay, welcome to another episode of the Uncle Hack podcast. There's the live studio audience. Life is good. You know, I feel like Jimmy Kimmel up here. Let a tear out for everybody. Anyways, February 7th and 8th, we are in Hamilton, Ontario. February 15th, Edmonton, Alberta. February 16th, Las Vegas, Nevada. February 23rd, Calgary, Alberta. March 7th, Cornwall, Ontario. March 8th, Ottawa, Ontario. March 22nd, Brooks, Alberta. March 28th, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. March 29th, Swift Current, Saskatchewan. April 4th, Drayton Valley, Alberta. April 11th, Malig. I don't know how to pronounce it. Small town outside of Bonnyville. April 12th, Lloydminster, Alberta. April 25th, 26th, St. John, New Brunswick. April 27th, Fredericton, New Brunswick. May 9th, Hanna, Alberta. May 10th, Medicine Hat, Alberta. DangerCatShop.com for tickets. Unfortunately, bad news, folks. The Saskatoon show has folded. They received an email from a woman named Crystal. You can never trust a woman named Crystal. They are very opinionated. You look at the bio, you got feminist, vegan, and the list goes on. They in that blank stare, the stare of low iron. We know that stare, the vaccine stare, where it's like looking into the abyss. It has something. It has qualities of a zombie, dead inside but full of excitement for self. These issues that are self-fulfilling but do nothing, right? That's what it's about in 2025. Also, merch available at DangerCatShop.com. Extra episode of the Uncle Hack podcast available at Patreon.com/DangerCat69. Links below in the description. Big news, folks. Giant news. We, on this show, want to congratulate. We're not going to go at this kid, okay? We're not going to take a crack at him because it's already hard enough. We want to say congratulations to Xavier Trudeau on the rise of fame on producing rap music. Lil Blackface dropped some fire on us, and you know what? I don't want to play the song. I'm assuming that this audience has already tapped in on him dropping a song, making their comments about, hey, how much did my taxpayer, at least it went to creating some art for once, at least there was some art created. This is the prodigy of the country's, what I would say the country's greatest drama teacher, okay? He rose to fame. He's done numbers for the country. He's gave us countless images to look back upon for decades upon decades. The bills that have been passed, the plummeting faith in the nation's leadership. But out of the ashes, a phoenix rises. Xavier Trudeau with a fire track. I will be bumping this all throughout the winter, right into the summer. It's going to be the anthem of the summer, okay? Buckle up. I'm not about to sit here and drag this young man for taking an artistic approach to his own artistic creation that he put into music. I'm not about to drag that, okay? We're not going to sit here and make fun of a young man taking a chance. It's already hard. You know what? Good on him. Good. This is what I say. Good on him. Before everybody starts to shit down this poor kid's throat, it's probably already hard enough that, you kind of got a goofy father. It's tough enough already having a goofy father that the nation does not quite enjoy. I mean, his approval rating says so. His resignation also complements the approval rating. We cannot ignore that now, can we? But out of it, this young man decides to come out and create some art out of everything. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that this young lad took a risk. And one thing I would like to note, good on him on not thinking that, you know what, I'm gonna keep a clean image and run for politics like my father. I'd imagine he's felt the heat. Look at him. They're out in Whistler. His father's getting approached, being told to get the fuck out of British Columbia on a ski trip. The animosity and hatred towards his father has now trickled down into the now beginning of his music career, which is unfortunate. But I say this, congrats to him on taking a different lane, because it is. We see this in sports all the time, as a young man will try to follow a father's footsteps and try to compete with the old man's legacy. And now we're seeing a young lad, do something that maybe the old man couldn't do in the arts. So to that, I want to say, well done, young man. Well done. I think the move, though, if he wanted to be hilarious, I think you come out and you drop a track as Lil Blackface. I think, there wouldn't be there's nothing funnier that you could do right now. And that would kind of be okay, you can't not lose with that move. I mean, don't do the paint. Don't go as far as doing the paint. You wear one of those Pooh Shiesty masks and drop one of the hardest tracks a honky has dropped in this country. Okay? We got to make sure it's on par with a Mercules or a Mad Child, right? Or Sunreal or Classified, some honky rap. Something that everybody wants to bump under the guise of Lil Blackface. You have to do it. You have the perfect opportunity. Now, I'm not really the person that should be offering any form of advice when it comes to furthering your career in any form of art or entertainment, for that being, look at the projection of where, for the past year, I've been dealing with these zombie-like beings that I described earlier already in this episode that are emailing, I can't believe that you would have something like this. And it's then this is the thing, is that I don't, you know what, Xavier, anytime you would like to open up for a Danger Cat show, hit your boy in the DM. You can open it up with some hot tracks, maybe even close it out. Maybe you come headline and drop some hot fire on they ass. That's as close as I can possibly get to any form of ebonomic language. I'm not tapped in as much. When I was younger, I could float a little easier with that. But now I'm if I start saying Riz, you catch me saying Riz unironically, I give you full-blown permission to beat my skull in with a snow shovel. You are allowed. You can consider that the MAIDS program, because my brain has been erased. It has been compromised. I am now a federal agent. If I'm starting to talk like the kids, this would be an MK Ultra project gone wrong. If I say Riz or what's another one that they use? See, I don't even know the kids' lingo no more. That's how out of the loop I am. Skibbity. That's not Skibbity Riz. If I say Skibbity ever outside of this podcast, snow shovel, bang, to a metal one too. I want the noise. I want the last noise that I ever hear, the pong of a snow shovel smacking my temple as my lifeless body lays out on a snowy street, because that's what I deserve. I don't deserve to die in the summertime if I'm using words like that. My lifeless body in a cold winter's eve, lying there from a blunt strike to my skull from a snow shovel, I think is only fair. One of those old school ones that were like 15 pounds that your father had, just wouldn't get rid of it from the 80s. You know, now we got those cheap plastic ones with a blade at the bottom that we're supposed to pretend like, oh yeah, this is the great. No. One of those ones that grandpa had in the garage hanging up, and it was like 15 pounds, and you as a young man, you get told to go shovel the driveway, and it was just, you know, your shoulders are aching after the first run, everything, and it was a battle to get through. That right there, it created men. It created men. And that's why I am extending the invitation to young Xavier Trudeau. If he would ever like to open up a Danger Cat show or close it out, the invitation is there and it will never, ever expire. Okay? I am a fan of your work. And we could have some fun with this, okay? And I know. Hack, I believe he's still in high school. If not, just graduated. I shouldn't be hanging around high school kids, but in this circumstance, I think we can both agree it would be hilarious. I think this is what the people want, Xavier. They want the collab of a lifetime, and it's you and I. I will, in fact, maybe we make a rap duo together. What would I come out as? Do I just stay with Uncle Hack and I create this rap character and we team up and we be like the new swollen members of Canada, the outcast of Canada? There is work to be done here, and with that I say the invitation is open, and it will never, ever, ever, as long as I walk this earth, expire, young man. And I'm pleased. I would be honored to have you a part of a Danger Cat show or an Uncle Hack show, if I'm being honest. Maybe we can get him on the pod, talk about it. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be great? Oh my God. We'll extend the invitation. We will. We'll try it out. Young Zave. I don't even know what his artist's name is, but moving on. You know, that's how I wanted to open this show today. I seen that. It got sent to me a number of times as if like I'm supposed to be upset that a young guy is taking some risk out there and I'm supposed to be like rip him to shreds. But you know what? In all honesty, if there is an artist in this country that is starting behind the finish line or the starting line, it's got to be him, you know, because with your father at the helm, and it's not even at where he's at peak likability. He's nowhere near peak likability, and that's Justin. Big JT is nowhere near like being liked anywhere he goes. And now you decide in the most dangerous time to come out as a recording artist. I got to hands off to him. That's some dangerous stuff. That's some dangerous stuff. Because there's some psychopaths out there that would probably do some questionable things or say some questionable things to a young man trying to step into the spotlight like he is. But we wish him well. We wish him the best. And the invitation is always there. You will be, and I guarantee you this, you will be safe at our shows. No one will do a damn thing to you. You will be able to perform no matter what. In fact, I guarantee you, the boys will probably enjoy you. The boys will probably enjoy you. They may not like the genre of music that you're doing. It's kind of poppy, hip hop, you know, that many pop stars have been doing in America in the past 4 years. And now we're seeing them all transition to country. So I think, again, like we're always 4 years behind the entertainment industry in America. So right now, like pop music, that very poppy rap, mumbling, you know, who would be a good example, like a Future type rapper, YouTube style rapper, you know, and the problem here is like, once Eminem broke through, a lot of white guys started getting too much confidence that they should be stepping into the rap game. And I don't agree with that entirely. Like, we had a few good ones break through, but then we had like MGKs, and we've had, who would be another one? Who's that guy with the thrift shop song? And then he's like, when I was in the third grade, I was gay. Yeah, Macklemore. Then we get the Macklemores out there, and it kind of, all right, our time is up. Okay, we had one, and he was like the Tiger Woods of golf. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. You see a black guy on top of golf, a white guy on top of the rap game. Our timelines were really messed up in the 2000s. And I'm not saying that it's corrected itself, because we still have issues that I find are hilarious. Like our first issue that we need to talk about, because this is a social podcast similar to The View, but with one idiot sitting here spewing opinions about things that do not matter. But a fat lady, and I should say a beautiful one. If I was talking from the perspective of a 30 to 36-year-old woman, probably white, that grew up in a suburban area, I would describe this lady as beautiful. But I would not want you to say that I look like her, even though I've described her as beautiful, but it's still an insult, because we both know that you're lying and the truth hurts, right? So we ignore all of that. And it's like now you see, it is funny, because like now we've had the time period where we allowed women to kind of carry the conversation, and they bullshit more than men. Because for the duration of Lizzo's career, everybody's been like, she's fat, and then women will like put blinders on to ignore that, to like thin her up and be like, no, she's beautiful, and be like, oh, you look like Lizzo, and then women get mad at that, right? Where that's how I would describe this rapper from Detroit who had a bit of an issue with a Lyft driver, okay? Detroit woman sues Lyft after being denied ride because of her weight. Now, this is a very fun video to get into. We're going to head on over to NBC in Detroit, WDIV.
So you really telling me I'm too big to get in your car?
Deja Blandings recorded it all. Her Lyft driver pulling up only to turn her down.
I was too big, and his tires, something about his tires. I asked him, what do I have to do with your tires?
This happened.
What do I have to do with your Nothing. It's incredible that we are here right now. It's incredible that we are here. I love the fact that no one is taking any accountability whatsoever of anything about themselves, whether it's emotionally, physically. It's disregarded, and you just like you ignore the problem. I like that. I like that we sit in this delusion of oneself, because it allows me to be like, when people come at me and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can deny claims against me by saying, what do you mean? Why won't you? What you're scared of me coming into your venue and telling jokes? Why? I get to play like this delusional state that I'm unaware of any of the problems surrounding me, and put that on other people. That's the whole. It's the business model, baby.
January 18th, the 29-year-old Detroiter was headed to a Lions watch party, only she never got there.
So you telling me I can't get in the Lyft because I can't fit in your car?
Yeah, you need to order a bigger car.
See, wouldn't this be fun? Like, we get into, let's say this is the 2025 OJ trial, like we get into this and it's like, remember the glove? What if now we have to prove that she can indeed fit in that car? What if this is the 2025 version of the OJ trial, right? Because that's where we're at. It's like, obese people are being treated unfairly. We've seen it with the airline. We've seen it with restaurants. We've seen it everywhere but the rideshare service apps. And now it's reached Lyft. And we need to get this woman on trial in a courtroom. And could you imagine this guy pulls a fast one and I don't know what kind of car this is. It's definitely a sedan, but he goes out and purchases a smaller car, similar to like shrinking the glove. He shrinks the car. Honey, I shrunk the car. And now we have like a verdict on our hands that the whole country can rally behind, you know? This is something that we can all get behind. And will this one cause riot? I don't know. The obese people, you think obese people are coming out to the streets to riot? It would be good to get them outside and moving. It would be. Now, I could make some easy fat jokes here. I can imagine all those fat people in the streets and they walk and then the building starts crumbling down. Imagine all these big people walking in the streets and trudging along, and now we're seeing like buildings crumble. And it's all tapping down and coming to a fucking halt. Oh my word. Insanity all around us. A bunch of micro-sized Godzillas terrorizing the cities of all over North America. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine? Oops.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The driver told her she needed to request an XL car.
I was embarrassed, and I felt some type of way about it, you know.
She's hired a lawyer
this is
and
genius.
is suing Lyft.
Well, from a legal standpoint, it seems like obvious discrimination. The Elliott-Larsen Act, which is Michigan's Civil Rights Act, specifically protects people from weight discrimination. And the driver here turned down her ride because of her weight.
Deja says this experience has scarred her.
I haven't really left my house since that.
She hopes this lawsuit.
This has got to be this is a segment on this. Episodes of the Boondocks were created around ideas of this. I assume you go through old episodes of the Boondocks, there has to be something similar to this. There has to be. I can't recall an episode right now off the top of my head. I haven't watched the series in quite some time, but I assume that there is something similar to what is happening in front of our eyes here, folks, live on the Uncle Hack podcast, right? Imagine a lawyer. Imagine you're a lawyer. You know, you pass the bar, you got a case on your hands, and this comes across your desk, and you think to yourself, like, my God, is this what it's come to? This is what it's come to. And this one gets national press, and you got to come out and be like, well, there's actually a discrimination law about people's weight, about getting into a car. And you have to take this serious. You cannot fold under pressure. This is a massive, pun intended, case on his hands. He needs this more than anything. And something that I'm just going to go out on a limb here. You know, I'm going to go out on a missing foot and just say that they're gonna get a lump sum. Fucking hell.
Of all sizes.
Didn't have to pay for extra for a Uber.
She hopes this lawsuit will change how people treat others of all sizes.
Didn't have to pay for extra for a Uber XL.
While Lyft does not comment on pending litigation, they did send us this statement saying, quote, Lyft unequivocally condemns all forms of discrimination. We believe in a community where everyone is treated with equal respect and mutual kindness. Our community guidelines and terms of service explicitly prohibit harassment or discrimination. Reporting in Detroit, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
Beautiful. beautiful. Am I right, folks? How? The end is near. This has to be like, first off, you got Elon Musk on a stage doing Roman salutes. We got this right here, a national story, and international, because it's crossed over to the borders of Canada into my lap and crossed our desk. And I said, oh, we got to cover this because this is a story that everybody needs to know about, is that big people are being discriminated against. America truly is on the world stage. You know, for the longest time as a Canadian, I could look at and be like, Americans are fat. And now that has even seeped up here. Like, there is a lot of big people, and they have every right to stand up against these criminal rideshare apps that have drivers that will discriminate against their weight. This is disgusting. It's grotesque. I stand with her, or sit. And we support you in your trial against Lyft. Take them down. How dare they? How dare they recommend an Uber XL? That's a competitor. That is a competitor. A woman of that size, though, is quite intimidating. I like that. I like that America is coming back. The selfishness of an individual coming back in full force. This is what we need. We need America to be arrogant, even with one another right now. That is when you guys were thriving. Is this unexplanatory patriotism of hot dogs, air guitars, fireworks, automatic weapons, and just overconsumption. America is back. The Trump presidency is going to be nasty for the rest of the world, but America is going to be back. Mark my words. It's already Look at the fear in Canadian politicians right now. Look at the fear in Canadian politicians. They do not know how to handle this situation. They don't know if tariffs are coming February 1st or not. There is this looming fear and just this doom cloud over the nation of Canada, specifically the House of Commons in Ottawa, and they do not know how to handle this. They're scrambling. Everybody is scrambling. There's fighting in-house all day long. They're trying to point the fingers at who fucked up where. But that's the problem when you're essentially just you're a trust fund country. And I say that with like, you're a trust fund country just propped up by bullshit and how fragile it actually is. They're looking at this like, if these tariffs come in, the government subsidies that they're looking to print more money. Inflation is going to rise. They're worried about a major housing crisis. It does not look good for the nation of Canada. Now, does Trump look at that as a way to purchase us for pennies on the dollar or annex us, whatever his motive is, or just to destroy us? You know, and for a long time, they just sloughed it off about Canada and money owed and. You know, I'm not going to, maybe I'm not the guy. Listen, I'm not the guy that you want talking geopolitics. I understand that. I like the optics of it all. I like the chaos. I like the chaos that's surrounding it. I'm not going to sit here and get in and debate. I'm not going to debate policies with you and where we went wrong. But right now, when you zoom out and the optics of Canada is really just, it's lost its appeal to the rest of the world. It really has, in my mind anyways. I feel like a lot of people now are viewing Canada as this lost space, and specifically America is now viewing us as a resource rich country that they could possibly get for very cheap. And our leaders have led us into our own destruction blindly. Willingly or unwillingly, they have led us to this pit of doom. And now that landslide is coming and we are standing at a cliff and we don't know if we just let the fucking landslide take us off the cliff or we jump. And it's scary because the political pundits and the bureaucrats of this nation are coming out and they're trying to figure out how to point blame everywhere but themselves. Everywhere but themselves by these interviews that they're taking. And one person specifically that I would love to talk about on this show, Elizabeth May. Elizabeth May should be an inspiration for the rest of the nation that, no matter how much of a drunk or a drug addict you are, you can barely pass in your field and get by. That should be the inspiration when you look at somebody like the Green Party leader, Elizabeth May. From the drunken ramblings about Omar Khadr to I've heard stories of people finding her passed out in gardens in Victoria, British Columbia, where she resides. There is no hiding that this woman is a full-blown drunk. There's no hiding it. You'd have to be an alcoholic to say some of the things that she says. And trust me, as a man that really enjoyed pounding liquor and having the thought processes and the opinions that I have, I can agree. I can agree with my own statement right there as somebody who has said some very questionable things in the past and their actions from being in a liquor-fueled haze, that I understand where she comes from. I understand how you can think what you're saying is something that of substance, that people, you in your head, that people are going to hear this and they're going to think to themselves, what a moving speech, when in reality it's just slurred, mumbled jargon that no one could possibly comprehend, let alone take serious. And that's why I like her, because she comes out and says the things that she does. And hold on, we need to pause this. And I think it's beautiful that even the person recording the video is one of our favorite reporters on this show, Rachel Gilmore, who seems to be in a little bit of trouble. There's a rumor floating around now, allegedly, I'm using the right words to keep myself out of the sphere of being sued, but allegedly somebody was sharing on Twitter that apparently her and another reporter are being sued by by Canada Proud or possibly the Conservative Party, which is quite interesting. A very big turn of events happening here in Canada. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But First off, let's take a little listen here at this video with...
Address that issue, especially when it's an, as she said, existential threat.
Let's go back.
Help address that issue, especially when it's an, as she said, existential threat to democracy.
Watching Elon Musk parade around the world as the new emperor of all, along with his buddy Donald Trump, I am deeply concerned for the next election in Canada. I think Musk interfering in Germany's elections on the side of the far-right parties that want to play footsie with Nazis and say we don't have to feel guilty about our past on International Day of Holocaust Remembrance. This is pretty offensive stuff. Our solution in the Green Party is we as Canadians and our...
Here's the thing of that, whether you agree with the Elon, what you think about him, but one thing that we have trouble understanding, and I know like maybe as a political leader, she does get it. I don't know her angle, but I find like a lot of people that you run into in this great nation, they don't quite understand the First Amendment of the United States. They truly do not get that they have freedom of speech and freedom, like, and not just this blanket freedom of expression, but meanwhile you can say this but not that, and like they have full-blown freedom of speech. They are allowed to say whatever they want in whatever capacity they wish. And here, opposing political views of whether you agree with it or not, we seem to just not understand that this person does have the right to say it, whether you like it or not. And then that comes next with like the wish of censorship of those that you disagree with. And I think that's a very dangerous and slippery slope that many of us truly don't view the outcome fully, right? Because then when you're censoring and silencing people, they feel disenfranchised, and then you start pushing these people into dark corners because they're not able to express themselves. And we should have open public discourse, even with the speech that we hate. And you can't just label things hate speech because you disagree with it. I find that very concerning, for one, just because you dislike something. And plus, who makes you the czar of words, the czar of communication? You know, like for instance, she's standing here and she has a pin on her, a ribbon, on her jacket of the Ukraine flag. We're still doing that. We're still doing that. We're still backing this. Many of us are viewing the Ukraine as a money laundering operation, and we're seeing like that these wars are unjust, and it's just a way to prop up a military industrial complex and make the wealthy, which wealthier, which you'd think somebody of the Green Party would be against something of warfare because it is destroying the planet by detonating bombs and taking human life. You would think that there would be almost a nuanced or very bipartisan stance on her behalf of advocating for no warfare whatsoever, rather than being like, we need to back one side of this war. You would think that. So this is where my view on politics now is more so of it being a soap opera and fun to follow, because there is real life consequences and there's actions of these people, and what they push forward in their bills have an effect on my life and how my well-being is going to be in the future, or even, you know, my family or extended family and generations after me. So it's concerning when you have a drunk at the helm of leadership. Now, keep in mind, there isn't much sway happening with Elizabeth here. In fact, the most TV time that she's got in a minute now is pretty much been in 2025, when she's coming out and making statements, and then America is using them to show how retarded we actually are up here by allowing this fucking basically a mimosa slugging. Elizabeth reminds me of that aunt that comes around during Christmas time, and you kind of like, you know, when you were younger, you thought she was cool because she would come through and tell you stories about her travels around the globe, right? Where she's been, what she's done, and has this aura around her of like a very eccentric being when you're young, and you view this as cool. It's like she's free. She's not chained to the idea of a 9-to-5, right? And then as you get older and you start to experience life a little bit more, you enter high school and you start to see that, oh, she's just a drunk. 90% of the things that she talks about did not happen. In fact, she sits in her apartment hammered out of her mind watching the Travel Channel and thinks that she's been there. The amount of times that she's woke up in her own vomit it exceeds the amount of times she's actually taken a plane to visit the countries that she speaks of. She just gets so goddamn hammered watching the Travel Channel that she believes that she went to Indonesia and and took ayahuasca with some tribe member up in the mountains. And then your reality starts settling in, like, oh God, these adults that are in positions to run the country are actually pretty much borderline retarded. And that is not, that's not a slight towards anybody with any sort of mental disabilities. In fact, I would trust them in her position more than her. And I think they would do a tremendously better job, to be honest. I would rather have somebody like Jared Nathan in her position running the Green Party. And if you aren't aware of who Jared Nathan is, wonderful comic out of Toronto, Ontario, Kill Tony, golden ticket winner. But I would much rather have somebody like Jared Nathan in her position running the Green Party, because I believe that you would look at him and take him way more serious than you would somebody of the stature of Elizabeth May, who hops up hammered, being like, playing the song Welcome Back, to being like, Omar Kadar, welcome back home. Well, speaking of, let's get that video up here, because that is one of the finer moments of her getting ushered off a stage. Welcome back. There we go. Full speech. Let's get this rocking. Elizabeth May. Let's get to the juicy part before, right before she gets ushered off. This is who you have running. Is at the helm of the leadership for the Green Party.
Former black and white TV shows that you never thought your kids would ever see, and they're running through your head. Like every now and then I wake up thinking about, Lisa, you've got to wait. Lisa, I wake up thinking about a horse is a horse, of course. This morning I wake up thinking this. Why am I thinking this? Do you guys wonder?
You know what I mean?
Liz, hang on.
We wonder why you're thinking that too, but
Wait, you know what? Do you guys remember the theme song? Welcome back. Who knew Cotter was spelled K-H-A-D-R? Welcome back, Omar Cotter.
Just fighting it.
To say it. Welcome back, Omar Cotter. You're home.
Well, that's one way. That's one way to ruin a wedding, huh?
There's a lot unusual about your speech, Liz, but we're going to take off.
You got more class than the whole fucking cabinet. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Pray. Nothing like your drunk aunt getting up at a wedding praising a war criminal. Am I right, folks? That's what you want to see out of the leadership of a party. That's what you want to see. That's what we came here for, folks. But let's carry on with the other fucking ramblings of my favorite politician.
There's no such thing as a platform.
Let's go back.
Pretty offensive stuff. Our solution in the Green Party is we as Canadians and our government should say there's no such thing as a platform. You're a publisher, and Meta and Twitter and X and all of them would have to abide by the jurisprudence of hundreds of years of a publisher's responsibility for what they publish. And the anonymous and rule-free world in which social media operates could end simply and quickly, but of course Parliament would have to be in session, to say, in Canada, we don't recognize something called a platform. You've invented this term for yourselves so that you can, as profiteering transnational corporations, interfere in our lives and harvest our lives to make money for yourselves, threatening our democracy, threatening our journalism. So you're publishers, and we're not going to censor what you publish, but if someone wants to sue you, you'll be responsible for the words you publish, regardless of whether it comes from a foreign bot or a Canadian citizen. The publisher's responsible for what they publish, and that would really clean up the sewer of social media.
Yes, censorship. The advocacy for censorship is never a good thing as a politician. You never get excited when you hear a politician screaming for censorship of any sort. Now, with that, you have somebody who really doesn't have any power whatsoever. No power whatsoever. Who is screaming from the rooftops of wanting to sue these guys into oblivion, which, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if many of the other politicians, which they are kind of pushing for with this Online Harms Act, is like a way. This is a money making machine right here, because we are about to watch the bubble burst here, and we got to suck as much funds and all. It seems like those that are questioning the authority or the public figures in the nation have some. They have a very, very glamorous portfolio. Some of them do, and we're gonna get it. We're going to get that money. Yeah, who's that rich guy out of Calgary who has been this same with the ex-owner of Lululemon? You imagine the question. He put some questionable things on Twitter, and now they're going to attack him, attack his money, and they just sue. You tie it up in the court system. It's very concerning, folks. That's why we're going to annex Canada. That's my Trump impression. It's very bad. I'm not very good at it. But the fear that some of us are feeling, I think is justified at this point in time, because a lot of financial strategists are coming out and saying that this tariff is going to destroy us. This tariff is going to really destroy. A lot of companies are preparing for massive layoffs. A lot of the government is now looking to prop up Canadians by having a payout similar to CERB once again. So now we're looking at universal basic income for a lot of people for the next incoming 4 years. And what job do you have? Most people were just sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. So are we going to watch an economy be destroyed right before our eyes? And those that do have concerns are then, they're disregarded and painted as, they use these terms that really have no weight no more. I think a lot of people have moved on past the smear and slander campaigns, because now, a few people have ran through that fire, and now it's just it's smoldering ash that doesn't burn you as hard. Because there's a very finite group of people now that consider themselves morally just and sit on this pedestal where they are looking down upon you because they've catered to these social issues that somehow make them a much better person than you'll ever be. So they've been slandering you and labeling you with racist, misogynist, all this, because you have concerns. And they paint you with that. And now so many people have been painted with that brush that there's more, the majority now have been called those terms than not. So you've grouped a lot of people together because of the words you've chosen in the past. And now the majority is tired of that. And it's just like, okay, we've had enough of it. It's time to get to work. It's time to figure out where we're going with this. What do we do it? And you have somebody like Elizabeth May that steps up and is advocating for censorship, which is scary, because then how do you get your voice out? You start taking to the streets. And is that what you want? You want people in the streets opposed to online? Because right now we're lazy with it. Think about it. We're lazy with our voice. Because it's easy to sit on the couch as you're crushing episodes of Squid Games, and you can have your opinion heard on X or Facebook, or we're going through it, like that woman today that came across my desk. Of all it took was one email, and she gets her voice heard, and it's lazy protesting. not even in the city of where the show is happening. She has never attended our show, but it's just lazy activism online. And it causes a conundrum. Now, do you want those people in the streets, or will they even get to the streets? Is that the goal there, is to scare people into not wanting to voice their opinions so that way you have total control over the population? What is it? Unfortunately, we don't live in an era where these people are 100% honest with their intentions on what they're trying to pass through, even though it's so transparent on what they're trying to do, which is the scary part. That's why I get like a little worked up about this. It's like when you're finger wagging in front of people that you're morally just, even though you have more skeletons in your closet than those people in front of you. I put my hands in the air and be like, what the hell are we doing here? What kind of game are we playing? And you get into these situations where now you've pushed these people to corners of the internet to where now to get their voices heard, they have to do crazy antics out in public so that way they can get attention on their cause. And some people feel that they are being persecuted for no reason, whether it be sexuality, and that can be straight or gay. It goes for both sides. And they feel like they're being persecuted. So now they have to direct that anger at those that they feel are doing this to them, but is just, other citizens of the nation. And now we have not so much a class war anymore, as now we have just like the working class at one another, while the ruling class gets to slip a lot. Like, we lose freedom when this happens. And I think that's what they want. Looking back on history, I know that this is like exactly in the playbook, is you want people arguing, and then you're able to strip rights away of exactly what she was just talking about, is censoring folks, is because now you use words like far right, even though you may not align yourself with the far right, but now it's just terminology that has become constant in media, in conversation, to almost deem those that think indifferently than left-wing politics as these very evil individuals. And that has been the goal this whole time. And now this insurgence of patriotism in Canada is kind of left out to dry because the left isn't patriotic about Canada. It's more so, from what I'm seeing on the public discourse, it's more so just a dislike for the current president of the United States of America. So it's not like they're patriotic of Canada. In fact, they were the ones making most Canadians ashamed of the history of the country and trying to remove the history. And I'm sorry, but like the fact of the matter is that history is never pleasant. It's not Disney movies. There was a lot of very fucking wild things that they used to do. There was a lot of crazy ideas that these people had in their head. It was a totally different time. The survival methods that they used, and just survival in general, was like, we don't have all the amenities that we have today. We live a very comfortable life. And for us to be bitching about where our living conditions is kind of insane. For most of us, we don't live in this world of poverty. Now, it is looming, and the fear of it is always right around the corner. But most of us, I'd imagine if you're listening to this show, that you're one or two good benders away. And when I say bender, it's not like 2 or 3 days. I'm saying like fucking a 3 to 4 week bender. Like, really, things went south. It ain't good. And a bad divorce, stripped of the car, the house, the kids, you got child support. Oh man, it's just not looking good. So it's just like, fuck it, I'm getting drunk for a month. I don't care. I'll burn it to the ground. I'm going to have a good time while I'm doing it, at least. If I'm going to end up homeless, I'm going to do it properly, and I'm going to have a good time. And whether that good time is filled with narcotics and alcoholism with the, maybe the odd prostitute is entirely up to you. You have all the free will to make those decisions. But that's one thing that I find very concerning with this timeline right now is the struggle to censor those that you oppose, those that you view as an enemy. And we get into these subgroups now. Now, even subgroups are fighting with one another, and it's on the left and the right. You can see it happening. And aligning ourselves with these subgroups, I think, is the wrong idea. Where, like, if it was more so in a class warfare, or if we divided it up and it was a discussion of like the working class with the elite and the ruling class, and I know it's like such a easy argument to make, but convincing people that your neighbor is not your enemy because they have different views is rather difficult. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, I keep getting asked if I align myself with any political parties or these organizations or groups, and I don't know where or why. Is it because of the things that I've said in the past? Yeah, probably. Is it? But I think it's very clear for me anyways. I don't know how to step outside of my own perspective or my own view of myself to see how somebody on the outside would view me. And like, apart from the national headlines that have taken place, I guess it would be easy to be like, to label someone like myself all those things. But I don't get, like, where's your curiosity with that? Why? Where's the why? Why do these people not like them? And that, I think we've lost that a little bit as well, is being curious of why the things that are happening around us are taking place. And it would be nice to see, and I think more and more people are interested in the why, including myself. I find myself a little more interested in history, so I'm talking to I've always had an interest in history because it does reflect on the future. We are constantly using the past to describe the future, right? We've been hearing for the past 20 years of like, that guy's a Nazi because he did something similar to what Hitler did, or you have these opinions on him because he's this is the rise of fascism. This is how it all started. These people are grotesque. They're disgusting. And we need to lock them up in prison. When in reality, we need to be sitting with one another and having these discussions because I think it's important. I do think it's important. I think that we need to drop this idea that someone in a suit and tie, like a banker or a lawyer or a politician, is going to come out and save us from the ruins that is in the looming future of the nation, And and when that does happen, if there is an economic crash, you're going to see those people evacuate the country. They're going to leave it in ruins for us to clean up while they suck out all the wealth and sell everything they possibly can so they can exist somewhere where they don't have to, feel the repercussions of their actions of leaving their citizens in ruins. I think that's the scary part. And I don't want to be one of these like doomsday fucking guys that's sitting here trying to convince you that that everything is going to be bad in the future. There's I know hope is like a fucking a dumb thing to ride on at times, especially when you got to listen to these people who have no power whatsoever, like someone like Doug Ford or Elizabeth May try to stoke the fire of a trade war with one of the most powerful countries on the planet. We just don't weigh up to them. This is Mike Tyson fighting fighting in the strawweight women's division. It's just not a fight that we win. There is like a 2% chance that we might get lucky. And what does that look like? Nobody's really said what it looks like because we don't know. We don't know what's coming. So there is like, I don't know. I get questionable about it. I get fearful of it. I think most people should. Are we going to become a part of the United States of America? Because if there is a country in North America that the states would put its eyes on, I think it's Canada. Our military power isn't like we have no military. We would not be able to fight them on a ground invasion. They take us like way. You think like the Ukraine war was like exactly how the Ukraine-Russia war was supposed to play out? That was what would happen here. They would just come in and be like, it would take them probably a week to take Ottawa, if not less. Economically, they could destroy us and just scoop up whatever they wanted. They're not going to turn their crosshairs to a place like Mexico. You have like the cartels have a more sophisticated military than the Canadian Army. 3 cartels would get together and it would be like they could take the nation. And a lot of rocks are getting turned over and secrets of like how this place truly operates. And now that we're on the global, like being scrutinized on the global stage, it's quite embarrassing as a Canadian. It is, like the topic of immigration, like people don't view Canadians the same way as they did prior. Now we're being mocked and ridiculed of being basically an extension of India. We're being mocked by the statements made of our politicians. So what do we do, folks? Drop it down in the questions below. Head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/DangerCat69 for an extra episode. And thank you for tuning in. Leave your concerns down below. I had a lot of fun with this episode. I felt like a little more mentally clear and mentally involved with the show. A lot of cool things coming up in the future. I got some moves that should be fun. I got an idea for the end of the year after speaking with a comic there, and put some goals into perspective, and hopefully that the folks out there that do enjoy what we're up to, or what I'm up to, I should say, sorry, keep messing with me. And I know like it's difficult. I'm doing a lot of things behind the scenes to ensure that this stays afloat, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been very interesting over the past year. It's still kind of following us, so I don't know how to shed that, which is something else. It's very, very, very odd right now. A year of the same, this is the boredom of Canadians. We need real problems, I guess. And maybe the doom of a 25% tariff, I don't know. Maybe your boy's got to go back to the oil patch. Hey, wouldn't that be fun to go back to the patch? Communism. See you there.